Hello everyone, I am echoing a lot. Testing, hi. Everybody, this is your friendly neighborhood techno wizard. After a long sabbatical, I'm working on terrain right now and stuff like that. As you can see from the time lapse behind me, I do know Chad the Man. I actually just got to work with him, which is awesome. I'm gonna do a couple more shows. But right now I'm going to go to terrain that I made. I'm going to show you a full screen image. Actually, wait a minute, let me see here if I can I built this, and I'm going to go over the stuff for this and tell you how I did and why I do the things I do. See that? That's all that. Alright, cool. So, with that being said, let me give you the full image here so you can take a look. Alright, as you can see, I have the, I printed up 4 base plates. These can be found on Cult. Everything I buy, by the way, you can find on Cult. Cult 3D. I'm just saying, it's one of the easiest places to go get free stuff. What you do with that free stuff is up to you. You can see, hang on, let me get it. Oh look, there's my mouse pointer. As you can see right here, I got this thing, I printed up. This is actually 4 different tiles with a substructure and hang on, let me move back to a full image of me real quick here, and I'll show you something very how I start these things off. So I do 3D print them, I do get them for real, but all right, here you are again. Let me show you something to give them height, because that's one of the things is, you know, if you just build flat terrain. I get this. This is 1-inch insulation foam. It's real cheap, actually. I'm a cheap ass. I'm going to do something cheap. Yeah, I do that. The other thing I do is, as you can see right here, this is the top print up. There is this substructure I've got under here. It kind of, well, let me see if I can get this in there. See right in here? See that? It goes under there and actually holds it up and gives me a nice 12 by 12 square, which is nice. They have 6 by 6 squares, 12 by 12. Usually each one of these panels is 6 by 6, and then they take whatever, you know, cool design they've come up with, as you can see right here, and they dice it up that way. Excuse me. Oh look, there's a dog. Sorry, you probably can't see that because I'm doing other things, but alright, so let me go over this. I printed it up. I went out and I bought a sort of hammered silver spray paint, hammered metallic silver spray. I'm trying to remember. It's Home Depot. It's the Behr paint, hammered, you know, silver steel paint. Like I said, printed these up. Printed all this stuff up. Yeah, and then I spray painted the whole thing. I then built it on top of the foam and on top of the substructure. I glued, you know, no paint on it. I glued it to the substructure. I put all that on. I then did a base coat of gray. Actually, the same gray that's like right here in these areas is just a gray. Because I figure there's probably a lot of concrete in this whole building. No offense. This is Necromunda, by the way. It's kind of Necromunda, Hive City kind of thing you can play in. I do have more. I'm going to be putting out on more of these videos. But with this one, I took this one that has this big, huge thing. Now, originally, it was just the top structure, just had the hole in it, and I've seen a lot of guys do this one, and all the guy did was put like a green sheet of, I guess, felt underneath it to make it look cool, but, you know, I was like, I can do better. Now, let me go over this. This stuff, no, I'll start off with the paints. Okay, let's go over the paints. Like I said, silver metallic, or a steel hammered finish. The paints I use are Army Painter paints. So, you know, let's do that. Army Painter paints is what I use. However, I do use apple barrel paints, or folk art paints for the bigger things. Like for my little miniatures, the one that are, you know, Battletech, I just finished all of those, which was a pain in the ass. But yeah, I finished those up, and I used folk art silver on this right here to make all that metallic, and then I use a folk art or apple barrel copper in there, because, you know, 2 metallics makes sense to me anyway. Yeah, and then it's just a matter of painting and trying your brush strokes and stuff like that. And then, of course, I have to say this. I've seen guys spend a lot of money on washes. And I was like, what? I literally just took Folk Art paint, or Folk Art Apple Barrel, whatever the paint, I don't, by the way, this is a word from your sponsor. Nobody's sponsoring me, so I'm just giving my honest opinion here. The Folk Art paint, and I just mixed black and brown, and then a whole bunch of water. I made it nice and liquidy, and that's a wash. That's an easy thing to make, and I literally covered everything in it. You know, and the thing is the wash does a great job of bringing all these lines and all these little crevices, and it makes it look a little dirty, especially if you combine a little bit of brown with it, like a forest brown, because it looks like general dirt, I guess. And a high dirt would be metallic, but you know, here's how I went with that one. So that covers all this. This is obviously spray paint. I bought a small spray paint rig. It's about 150 bucks. And then I bought another 150 bucks worth of Army spray painter. And the Army spray painter paint I love completely. It works great every time. I, however, bought some of the medium, and I've been trying putting the Folk Art in the spray painter with mixed results. Very mixed results. You know, problem is with spray painting, it's like, yeah. Okay, well, with spray painting, it's kind of, you've got to learn what you're painting and how it works, and you also just, at a certain point, you just kind of go, well, I fucked up, but it works. Alright, so I've got all these paints. Now, in here, after I built this, here, let me do this again, full screen, and cut. And after I did all this up here, when I filled this part in down here, that's resin. Resin's easy to buy. What I did was I covered the bottom in painter's tape, and I really sealed it. Really sealed it. But when I did that, I really sealed it up, and I used, let's see, do I have any other different pictures of this? Yeah, right there. What I did, these pipes, by the way, are Designer 67. He does a lot of great things. Does a lot of great. The one thing I've learned with all the stuff on Necromunda that you see and all the terrain is every different one of them has sort of a different kind of feel to their terrain, or the way they see Necromunda. I found one that had a similar feel to me. So when I bought, he's got these pipe collections, and I had a big screw up. I was trying to do the whole cylinder pipes, and when I printed those out, they stopped about 3 inches up, and just my printer jammed up, and it stopped working. So I took all of those printer ends. In fact, I may do a special broadcast on it later. Yeah, see my fat ass and my dog. There's my dog, Sky. Sky. Yeah, unlike somebody, I don't have to electrocute the dog. It's getting to be a good girl. She's a good girl. By the way, dogs are always nice to have. But, like I said, if you look right here, it printed, it went, and then all stopped. Because it ran out of filament, and for some reason it didn't detect, and it just kept going. So what I did, is that printer right there? Here, I'll hold it back like this, like that. What I did was I took a small creme brulee torch to it, and I made it look like a melted pipe. Well, Designer 76, this guy, also has half pipes. These are not full pipes in there, they're halves. I simply painted them with some, I think it's rose gold, copper kind of color, and then I gave it silver highlights and did all this stuff. And as you can see, I just ran them across the bottom. I cut out the bottom underneath it. Now let me do this again. So I just took a hot knife, and I cut out all this stuff right here. And then I ran the half pipes, as you can see this, like that right there. That's how I ran the half pipe. And then as you can see, I ran the other one vertical like there. And then I have this one, which is actually a full pipe. The half pipes look like they're submerged. They actually, if you pay attention, they give it a bit of depth, as you can see. It looks like that, from seeing this one that's broken off, this is one of the ones, by the way, that failed to print. So I literally just took it and melted the end and made it look like a pipe that burst, essentially. And so essentially I've got this whole chaotic scene is that the pipe burst. And then I've got these over here. And these are, by the way, this is actually tubing from another, it's the Mosin tubing from, from a 3D printer I had to kill. But yeah, I had some extra tubing there, and this is from Model Kits, and this is actually from an air can. I actually took the red nozzle from an air can, just strung it across, because in a hive you assume that there's a bunch of things. Now, those, see with the servers, and then I built that, I poured in a layer of clear first. Using, and by the way, when you do that with these kind of things, I have to say this, buoyancy matters. This is one of those things you're gonna learn. If your thing is, like, this will float, it's foam. It will float on water. It will float on resin. You just pour resin in there and just don't do anything. It actually heats up. It's a chemical reaction when you do resin. It heats up, and then it just loosens the tape. And the tape, if there's space in between, or it's not tight enough, or there's not enough. Because what I do is I put paint cans on it. I put a whole bunch of spray paint cans or heavy water bottles on top to hold it down and create a seal. Well, what'll happen is the resin will just seep out, and you'll come down to your thing like later, but oh wait, hey, where's all my resin? And you look on the floor, and there's this goop of resin falling off your workbench, or God forbid your kitchen countertop, because you're going to take some stone or wood with it. I luckily do this on my workbench down in the garage, so which was what happened with this, I actually had to get under here with some things, but after I did the first initial coating, it sealed up all the holes. I then did it was clear resin. Now I did another resin. I made resin. When I make resin, I do a binary, 1-for-1, and then I do then I put, I basically stick. By the way, don't stir resin with a thumb, like a thumbstick. What do you call those things? The little wooden flat thumb, is it called a thumbstick? I don't know. But, don't just, like, grab it. Look, I'm whipping it up fast, because you do not thoroughly mix the chemicals, and your best way to get your best results is to thoroughly mix both identical chemicals, or both different chemicals, into a viscous liquid. They're both viscous, they both won't mix. If you actually look at, like, I do, I have the clear disposable containers for resin. If you look at them, you pour one and you pour it on the top, and you'll actually see them separate like that. You'll actually see a line in the cup, and it's like this one's like slightly less clear than the top one. If you do that, it won't work. They don't mix. You don't just stick the thing in there and do that and it'll work. I bought like a little mixer thing at the Home Depot. By the way, I mean, one of the things you got to be in this industry or this field, this hobby, is inventive. Use things that nobody else would use. You see something, take advantage of it. Oh, look, something broke. Oh, it broke. Okay, cool. I can use that because it looks like something cool. Spray paint it, I can change it around. Or like it did, I took advantage of a quote-unquote screw-up right there. That helped a whole lot. So now I mixed the resin. I then took it into a vacuum chamber and I sucked all the air out of it. I've seen other guys not do that, and they get like a lot of bubbles on the surface or something like that. I don't. I mean, if I have a couple bubbles, and I just take a blowtorch, and I'm like, I have way too many items that cause fire in my house, especially me. It's a bad idea for me. Fire bad. But I just take a blowtorch at the top and just real quick, and it usually pops them pretty good. I do come back and check it every now and then. But then again, I mixed up orange and kind of a yellow-green kind of thing, as you can see, right in here. And I poured them differently to make this surface. And, doing resin is good. It makes liquid look good, and it's hard, and it makes it transportable. Essentially, I can take this somewhere. Also, if I put real liquid in it, it'd be sloshing all over the place. Hey, look, go! It glues all over the place. Alright, so, did that, mix it up, let it go. The white on here is actually from the spray paint gun. I was doing a skull, I'm doing another 3D project I'll clue you guys in on later, but I did another one, and it was, I tried spray painting the skull, and I tried spray painting a couple other things. Actually, no, wait, yeah, right, let me see, actually, you can see right there, that is one thing I spray painted. Let's see. Yeah, look. Like, see, like right there, I spray painted a bee. Alright. Okay, cool. Oh, here you can see it better. You see I poured the resin in, and that's the oopsie, and these two pipes. They look like they go deep down in there. They give the illusion of depth. And, you know, you see the air coat can and all the other things. Now, everybody goes, you go to the hobby center, and I hate to say this, you go to that area where the hobby stuff is, and they got, oh look, fake moss, $10 for a little bitty bag this big. $10, little bitty bag of, you know, something that kind of looks like this, right? I hate to say this. I went to the flower making section. I went to the flower, what do they call it? The arrangements making section. And I found this stuff in like a big old thing for like $8. And I've got like tons of it. This is some sort of... Oh, by the way, I did hit this with some green spray paint just at one point, just to make it look a little greener. But this is some sort of thing in there. My wife, and this is taking advantage of stuff other people kind of throw away. I'm a big fan of junk terrain, by the way. I love a good piece of junk terrain. I would love to see somebody put junk terrain in the comments and see what you guys have come up with. But it's the mossy stuff they have. I just took it and I was like, okay, cool. And what I did to get it all in there was I literally just, you know, here it is, a little bit better. Yeah, I just took normal glue, normal Elmer's glue that sticks to the top of this stuff. Sorry. And I noticed dirt in the image there, so I had to clean it here because I don't know if it's actually still there or not. You're not looking at a live image. But I just kind of like, and then or like this, and then I just stuck it in there with my fingers, or I poured some glue into the corners, and I stuck this to it. And it sticks. And I did that all around the edge with all of these pieces of moss and what looked like fungus to me. Alright? So, let me see what else I can get that. And then, of course you paint the tubes. You kind of want to make them look weird. I want to make them look grody, like they've been corroding and stuff like that. So that's why I did all this kind of stuff. Let me go back over here. Is there anything this way? Ah, okay. So here's something cool I think I did. Personally, I think I did cool. Let me know in the comments section. I found these images on the internet. These are, you just Necromunda poster, propaganda poster or something like that on any search engine, you image, and then bing, here it all is. It's all out there. Nobody, you know, I'm not copyrighting this because I'm not making any money off this. I don't make any money off this channel. If I did, I'm gonna be a little depressed. But here's the thing. I printed these up on a thicker than average cardstock. Not your standard paper, because your standard paper won't stand up to what I'm gonna do with them, or how I stick them on. What you do is you get like a cardstock. I used to be a lithographer, made in the Navy, so yeah, of course, I think in paperweight, like a good, you know, the standard paper is like 60, 120, 100 paper, but basically a thicker paper, and I buy it where it's kind of like the parchment kind of paper. It's kind of a more tanner color? More tanner color. Great, I'm inventing expressions. But what I do is that I print it all out on these things with my printer, the ancient piece of crap I've got over there. I don't even use printer. This is the only thing I use my printer for anymore. And I print them all out. I then take a razor blade and I cut them out. And what I do is I take Elmer's glue, clear Elmer's glue. I about 50-50 with it with water. I mix it all around. And I basically put a little dab on the back and I push it up against the wall. And then I'll take a little swipe and do it over the top. Just like they used to do. I mean, they used to, like, New York used to be notorious for, like, back in the 1920s or 1820s. Basically, the way they got word out or news out was they would literally take, kids were paid to take, you know, buckets of glue, a really big old paintbrush, and they would literally just slap whatever propaganda poster they wanted to put up, and just slap it on a wall. So that's basically what I did there. Oh, sorry. I was in the store and I thought that was funny as all get out for my daughter. Yeah, see? And I found the, like, Sump City Radio, which I've heard some guys is good. Yeah, look at this. But I stuck them just to the wall like somebody who is just sticking around posters would do. They're not perfectly straight. They look odd, and they look a little bit beat up. Okay, is there another one there? That's another one right there. This one's hat. Oh yeah, here it is. And here's the thing that I use. That moss stuff looks really cool. It looks like it's growing, right? We'll see all this stuff around the edge. This is actually a thing you can buy on Amazon. It's called Moss Miniature Paint or something like that. It literally kind of grows. It starts off very dark, and as it dries, it kind of does this. It does this sort of like random sort of setting stuff. Oh yeah, and I'm never afraid to use a little copper highlight. And then see, there's where I spray painted with the white. But well, yeah. Look, number 5. Look, see these. There's a little map of Necromunda I put on there, a little Temlar, and a gas mask icon. But let me get back to that. Yeah. Oh, and like I said, copper up here looks really cool. But let's get back to the. Yeah, there. So I just started glooping this one, and it's got like you need to kind of mix it up a little. But if you do the thing I do with a dry paintbrush. I take the fatter rounder, little medium fatter rounder one. I mix it up in there and I stick it down in there and I make sure I get a glop of the goop on it, or the thicker viscous part of it, and I put it right there. And that just, and I went all around the edge because I figure this is corroding. This is all going to have something, because I've got this growing in here. If I just had this as metal, it would look odd. To me, it would look odd. It would look out of place. So I did this, and it really, to me, makes this thing kind of pop. See, it literally looks like fungus or just mold just growing. And you're in the hive, and everything's covered in mold, human feces, and other things. There's no cleaning lady, and if there is, she's overloaded or she hasn't been to work in a while. You never know. Her scribe on Terra that gave her the order to go clean Necromunda might not have arrived yet. The order is 4,000 years old and sitting in a scribe's box who's dead. But yeah, when it dries, it does this sort of mold-looking thing. That's what it's just supposed to look like. And there's a Vermilion Vicrit one. It looks more, not like mold, but like just complete and utter, just like snot. And that's why I kept it on this vent, because I figured this vent's connected to here somehow. But, I mean, I think I did a pretty good job on this one. And for all of you out there, I mean, is there any other questions you have? Questions in the comments? Ask me how I did something to figure something out. I'm going to see if I can finish up 2 more pieces of terrain. As you can see behind me, I'm going to do this really quick. As you can see behind me, I've got this is why I hate being backwards. Yes, I'm in Texas. Yes, I'm a Christian. And this is all my pile of stuff to do. I'm just a little bit organized at my pile of crap to do. So, and Crusader shield, yes, and I live in Texas. We have guns. Don't like it? Go piss off. That being said, thank you very much for your time. I am your friendly neighborhood techno wizard, and I do know Chad the Man